Ethan Price sat alone in the cockpit of his small scout ship. The stars outside the window looked cold and distant. He had seen many worlds in his time, but he never got tired of looking at space. He liked the silence. It was better than the noise of people talking too much. His mission was simple, at least on paper. The Earth Alliance wanted him to check out a ruined temple on a planet no one cared about. Some rich collector back on Earth thought there could be old alien treasure inside. Ethan did not care about treasure. He cared about staying alive and finishing his job. He landed his ship in a clearing surrounded by tall, thick trees with purple leaves. The planet felt heavy and wet, like a jungle after rain. He put on his helmet and checked his scanner. The temple was half a mile to the east. He grabbed his pack and rifle and started walking. Birds he had never seen before screamed in the trees. The ground was soft and muddy. He had to push huge leaves out of his way. After an hour, he saw the temple. It was bigger than he thought. It rose high above the jungle, made of dark stone with strange carvings on the walls. Vines covered most of it, but he could see steps leading up to a giant door. He stopped at the base of the steps. He looked up and wondered what he would find. Inside, he had heard stories of old alien traps. Some scouts never came back. He pushed the thought away. He checked his gear one more time and climbed the steps slowly. At the top, he found the door partly open. A cold breeze came from inside. He stepped in carefully. His flashlight showed long halls and big empty rooms. Strange symbols covered the walls. Sometimes he saw broken statues with faces that did not look human. Ethan walked deeper into the temple. He kept his hand on his rifle. His boots made soft echoes on the stone floor. After a while, he found a wide chamber. Blue crystals on the ceiling gave off a soft light. In the middle of the chamber was a strange shape. At first, Ethan thought it was a statue. Then he saw it was a glass pod. He walked closer. The pod was tall, like a coffin standing up. Inside it, a young woman slept. Her skin was pale blue, and her long silver hair floated inside the glass. She wore a silk dress with gold patterns. She looked peaceful, like she was dreaming. Ethan's breath caught in his throat. He had not expected this. He had found many ruins before, but never a living being. He checked his scanner. The life signs were real. Whoever she was alive. He touched the glass. It felt cold. His fingers brushed over a small panel at the side. Old symbols glowed under the dust. He could not read them, but he saw one. Big button in the middle. He looked at the woman again. She looked young, maybe 20, but who knew how old she really was? He thought for a moment. Maybe it was better to leave her alone. But his orders were to find anything important. A living alien princess was important. Maybe too important. He pressed the button. The pod made a soft sound. Steam hissed out from the sides. The glass started to slide open. Ethan stepped back and raised his rifle just in case. The woman's eyes opened. They were bright green and full of light. She looked at Ethan. Her eyes went wide with shock. She gasped and put her hand over her chest. Her mouth opened like she wanted to speak, but no sound came out. Ethan lowered his rifle a little. He raised his free hand. "It's okay," he said slowly. "I won't hurt you." She looked at him and at the room around her. She touched the edge of the pod like she was not sure if it was real. Her lips moved again. "Who are you?" she asked. Her voice was soft, almost like a whisper. "My name is Ethan," he said. "I'm a scout. I came here to look at this temple. I didn't know you were here." She stepped out of the pod. Her legs were weak. She almost fell, but Ethan caught her. Her skin was cold like ice. She pulled away quickly, but did not run. "Where Where am I? She asked. She looked around like she did not know the place at all. You're on a planet called K-47 by my people, Ethan said. We thought this place was empty. She frowned and touched her temple. She looked confused and sad at the same time. I was hidden here, she said. My people put me here. Long ago. Ethan wanted to ask more, but she looked like she might faint. He pulled out a water pack and gave it to her. She took it and drank slowly. Her hands were shaking. Thank you, she said. Her English was strange, but clear enough. She touched the gold mark on her dress. I am Lyara, Princess of the Esnai, Star Empire. Ethan did not know what to say. He had heard old stories about the Esnai. They were gone for hundreds of years. Just legends now. But this was real. You've been asleep a long time, he said. Your people, they're not here anymore. Her eyes filled with tears. She looked away and hugged herself. Ethan felt bad for her. She looked so lost, like a child waking up in a strange place. I don't know what to do, she said. I don't know who you are. Are you like the others? Others? Ethan asked. The ones who came before, she said. The ones who burned our cities. Ethan shook his head. No, I'm not here to hurt you. I'm here to help, if you let me. Lyara looked at him. She saw something in his eyes that made her trust him, just a little. She nodded slowly. Ethan lowered his rifle all the way. He knew his life had just changed. This mission was no longer simple. He would have to make choices. He would have to protect her. He did not know what would happen next, but he knew he could not leave her here. Not alone in this dead temple full of ghosts and secrets. He offered her his hand. She looked at it, then took it with her cold fingers. Together, they walked out of the chamber, into the dark halls of the temple that had kept her hidden for so long. Asterisk, why did you come here? She asked. I work for the Earth Alliance, Ethan said. My job is to find old places like this. My bosses want rare things to study or sell. Lyara looked worried. Are you going to sell me too? Ethan shook his head. No, I don't work like that. I didn't know you were here. I just wanted to find old stories, maybe some relics. But I found you instead. She looked at him with big green eyes. Why did they hide me? Ethan turned his light on the carvings on the wall. Maybe they wanted to keep you safe, he said. Your people were in danger? She nodded slowly. There was war. My father's brother wanted the throne. He sent soldiers to kill us. My guards brought me here and put me to sleep. They said they would come back. I'm sorry, Ethan said. No one came back. The temple was lost. Lyara pulled her knees to her chest. She looked small and alone in the big room. Where will I go now? She asked. Ethan thought about it. If he told his bosses, they would take her away. She would become a tool or a trophy. He didn't want that. You can come with me. He sighed. I have a ship. I can take you somewhere safe. Lyara looked at him. Why help me? You don't know me. Ethan shrugged. I know enough. You didn't ask to wake up alone. You didn't ask for your family to be gone. I don't leave. People behind. She closed her eyes for a moment. When she opened them, she looked stronger. Then I trust you, Ethan. They sat in silence. The only sound was the wind blowing through cracks in the stone. After a while, Ethan stood up. We should find more supplies. Maybe the temple has food or something useful. Lyara stood too. She held the edge of her dress so she wouldn't trip. Together they walked down another hall. They found a door that had fallen off its hinges. Inside was a small room with metal boxes. Ethan forced one open. Inside were old packets of dried food. He checked the labels. He couldn't read the alien words, but the food looked sealed. He gave one to Lyara. She smelled it and smiled a little. "This is our travel food. Soldiers ate this during war." They sat and ate in a quiet room. Lyara asked Ethan about Earth. He told her about tall cities, flying cars, and oceans bigger than the jungle outside. She listened like a child hearing. "Bedtime stories. What do people think about my people now?" she asked. "Most think you're a story," Ethan said. "A legend. Some people think your empire was evil. Some think you were wise." She touched her necklace, a small stone that glowed faintly. "We were not perfect, but we wanted peace. My father believed we could rule many worlds without war." Ethan believed her. He could see it in her eyes. They packed some of the food and moved deeper into the temple. They found an old library full of stone tablets and metal discs. Lyara showed him how to use a small console to open a hologram. Light filled the room, showing stars and maps. "This was our galaxy," Lyara said. She touched a point of light. "This was our home." Ethan watched the stars spin in the air. He wondered how much was gone. "You can learn about the past here," she said. "But I think I want to see what is new." Ethan smiled. "Then we'll get you off this planet." They heard a noise behind them. A soft echo. Ethan turned off the light and pulled Lyara behind a wall. He peeked out. He saw shadows moving. In the hall, someone else was in the temple. Lyara grabbed his hand. "Who are they?" Ethan didn't know yet, but he had a bad feeling. He held his finger to his lips. "They had to be quiet." He whispered, "Stay behind me, no matter what." She nodded. Her fingers squeezed his. They waited in the dark as the shadows came closer. Ethan checked his rifle. He would protect her. He had made a promise. He knew this was just the start. Stayed still behind the wall with Lyara. The shadows moved closer and voices echoed in the old hallway. He heard people talking in rough voices. He guessed they were mercenaries. They were looking for something to steal. Maybe they wanted the old relics, or maybe they knew about Lyara. Ethan held his rifle ready. Lyara held his arm tight. He told her not to breathe too loud. The footsteps got closer and stopped. One man with a light came near the library door. He looked around but did not see them. He called to the others that the place was clear. Ethan knew they had to move before the men found the old records and the open food boxes. He whispered to Lyara that they had to find another exit. She nodded. They moved slowly down another dark hall, trying not to make a sound. Ethan led her past broken walls and old doors. The temple felt like a maze. He checked his scanner, but it was weak inside the stone. They had to trust his memory. The mercenaries began to spread out. Ethan could hear more voices. They were searching every room. He found a small passage behind a broken statue. He pushed Lyara inside first, then crawled in after her. The passage was narrow and dusty. They crawled on their hands and knees until they reached a small hidden room. Ethan turned on his flashlight for a second. The room was full of old weapons and armor. The air smelled dry. Lyara looked at the old suits. They looked like her people's. Royal guards. She touched one helmet with care. It reminded her of her family, and the people who protected her. Listened at the wall. He could hear footsteps above them. The mercenaries were getting closer. He checked his rifle again. He did not have much ammo. He would have to fight smart if they found them. Lyara whispered that she wanted to help him. Ethan told her she should. Stay hidden. But she said the temple had old defense systems. Maybe they could use them. Ethan asked her if she could show him how. She nodded and pointed to a small panel behind the armor stand. Ethan wiped the dust away and saw an old control panel. The lights were dead, but Lyara pressed her hand on it. A soft glow came to life. She spoke in her language. The panel made a soft beep. She told Ethan the temple had old traps and doors that could close the halls. Ethan smiled at her. They made a plan. Lyara would stay and work the panel. Ethan would try to lead the mercenaries into the trap halls. It was risky, but it was their only chance. He gave Lyara a small flashlight and told her to lock the door when he left. She grabbed his hand and told him to come back. He promised he would. Crawled back through the passage. He moved fast and quiet. He saw 2 mercenaries near the library now. They were looking at the hologram map. Ethan threw a small rock to make noise. One mercenary turned. Ethan fired a shot and ran. The mercenaries shouted and chased him. He ran down the halls. He remembered. He passed old pillars and broken statues. The mercenaries fired back, but missed. Ethan turned a corner and saw a panel on the wall. He hit his come to Lyara and told her to close the door behind him. The metal gate dropped. The mercenaries banged on it but could not open it. Lyara moved quickly at the panel. She closed other doors and opened trap holes in the floor. Some mercenaries fell into old pits. Others got locked in dead ends. Ethan circled back to the secret room. He knocked 3 times. Lyara opened the passage. He slipped inside. They sat together in the dark, breathing hard. Ethan smiled at Lyara. She saved him and herself. She smiled back, tired but strong. The mercenaries were trapped for now, but Ethan knew more would come. They had to leave soon. Ethan told Lyara they would get to his ship at sunrise. They would leave the temple and find a new place far from mercenaries and people who wanted to use her. Lyara looked at him with hope. She was ready to see the stars again. They waited together. In the dark room. Outside, the mercenaries shouted in anger. But inside, Ethan and Lyara knew they had each other. They were ready for whatever came next. He checked his rifle and gave her a small knife he carried. She took it and nodded. Ethan opened the passage door and looked out. He saw lights moving in the hall. The mercenaries were sweeping every corner now. They were angry and wanted revenge. Ethan moved quickly and quietly. He threw a piece of metal down the hall to make noise. 2 mercenaries turned their lights. Ethan fired 1 shot and ducked behind a wall. The shot hit one man in the leg. He screamed and fell. The other mercenary fired back, but missed. Lyara watched from the secret room. She could not stay hidden this time. She saw another old control panel on the wall. She ran to it and pressed her hand on it. It turned on with a soft hum. She spoke to it in her old language. The floor under one mercenary opened, and he fell down with a loud crash. Heard the noise and knew Lyara helped him again. He gave her a quick thumbs up. He moved forward and checked the injured mercenary. The man was out cold. Ethan took his extra ammo and a small radio. He heard more footsteps. He pulled Lyara back into the shadows. They hid behind an old statue. 2 more mercenaries came around the corner. They were arguing about where Ethan was. Ethan held his breath. He waited until they were close. Then he jumped out and pushed one man down. The other turned his gun, but Lyara threw a broken piece of stone at him. It hit his face, and he dropped his gun. Ethan knocked him out. They needed to leave. The temple was no longer safe. Ethan checked his scanner. The exit was not far. He held Lyara's hand, and they ran down the dark halls. The old lights flickered as they passed. Lyara breathed fast, but kept up with Ethan. She was not the same scared princess anymore. They reached the main chamber. Ethan stopped. Carter Pierce, the leader of the mercenaries, was waiting for them. He had a big gun and a cruel smile. He told Ethan to drop his weapon. Ethan held his rifle tight. Liara stood behind him. Carter laughed. He said he knew about the princess. He wanted to sell her to the highest bidder. He promised Ethan he could live if he gave her up. Ethan said no. Carter's smile faded. He aimed his gun. Before Carter could fire, Liara stepped out from behind Ethan. She spoke to Carter in her royal voice. She told him he was not welcome in her temple. Carter laughed and told her she had no power. But Liara pressed a small button. On her necklace, the old walls rumbled. Hidden guns dropped down from the ceiling. Grabbed Liara and pulled her back. The old guns fired at Carter. He jumped aside, but got hit in the leg. He screamed and fired his gun wildly. Ethan shot back. Carter fell to the ground. Ethan checked to see if more mercenaries were coming. Liara helped him lift Carter's gun. She looked at Ethan with brave eyes. She was ready to leave the dead temple behind. They stepped out into the jungle. The sky was getting light. Ethan led Liara to his ship, hidden under the trees. He checked his scanner one last time. No more enemies. They were safe for now. Ethan opened the ship door. Liara stepped in and looked at the small cockpit. She touched the walls like she was touching freedom. He told her they would fly far away where no one would find her. Liara looked at the rising sun through the ship. Window. She held Ethan's hand. Together they left the lost temple behind and rose into the sky, ready to face whatever came next. Guided the ship high above the jungle. Liara sat beside him, watching the green world fall away. She felt fear, but also hope. She held Ethan's hand tight when the ship passed through thick clouds. For a moment, the sun turned the clouds gold. Liara had never seen the sun like that. It made her smile a little. When they reached open space, Ethan set the ship to auto. He checked the scanner. No ships followed them. He looked at Liara. She was staring at the stars with wide eyes. She whispered that they looked the same but felt different. She was alone, but not alone anymore. Showed her how to buckle the harness and how the ship worked. Liara tried to understand every button. She asked him many questions. Ethan answered each one with a smile. He liked how curious she was. They flew for hours. Ethan told her about Earth, the blue oceans, the tall cities. Liara listened and asked if people would fear her. Ethan said some might, but many would not. He promised to protect her. They reached the edge of the system. Ethan knew he had to call someone he trusted. He sent a coded message to his old friend Mason, a pilot who helped people disappear when they needed it. Mason answered and said he would meet them at a small hidden station on an old mining moon. While they waited, Ethan made Liara a warm drink. She tasted it and laughed softly. It was sweet and new to her. She said it reminded her of fruit from her old gardens. Ethan listened to her talk about her home world. She spoke of rivers of light and towers that touched the sky. He knew those places were only memories now. The ship beeped. A small craft appeared on the scanner. It was Mason. He docked and came aboard. He was tall with kind eyes and a rough voice. When he saw Liara, he gave Ethan a long look. Ethan just nodded. Mason understood. Mason said he knew a place where no one would look for a princess. A quiet world where she could decide what to do next. Liara thanked him. She trusted Ethan's friend because Ethan trusted Asterisk. They refueled the ship and rested. Liara found a small blanket and curled up on the bunk. Ethan sat beside her until she fell asleep. He watched her sleep and promised himself again he would not fail her. When she woke, They undocked and followed Mason's ship to the hidden world. Layara looked at the blue and green planet on the screen. It looked peaceful. She whispered that maybe she could start again there. Ethan told her she could be whoever she wanted to be. Asterisk as they entered the new world's atmosphere. Layara reached for Ethan's hand. She held it tight and felt safe. She did not know what would happen tomorrow, but she knew she was not alone. Ethan told her the stars were wide and waiting for her, and she believed him. Asterisk landed the ship in a quiet valley covered with green hills and bright flowers. The air smelled fresh and warm. Layara stepped out first. She felt the wind on her face and looked at the open sky. She took off her shoes and felt the soft grass under her feet. She laughed softly. It was the first time she had walked free in a new world. Asterisk Mason showed them a small cabin hidden under tall trees. It was old but clean and safe. He told Ethan that no one came here. No soldiers, no hunters, just peace. Layara thanked him again. Mason said he would leave supplies and check back when they needed him. Asterisk when Mason left. Ethan and Layara walked around the small cabin. There was a stream nearby with clear water. Layara knelt and touched the water. She saw her face in the stream. She looked different to herself. She was not a hidden princess anymore. She was just Layara. Asterisk spent the first night near the fire inside the cabin. Ethan cooked simple food. Layara helped him, laughing when she dropped a spoon. They talked about small things, about the stars, about music, about animals she had never seen. Asterisk at night, Layara could not sleep. She went outside and looked at the sky. Ethan came and sat beside her. She asked him if he missed home. Ethan said he never really had a home. Now he felt this place could be one. Asterisk Yara said she wanted to learn. She wanted to know how to live in this new world. She wanted to plant flowers, to read books, to hear new songs. Ethan promised to teach her everything he knew. Asterisk. Days passed slowly, but felt full. Ethan fixed the cabin roof. Layara found seeds in Mason's supplies. She planted them near the stream. She liked to see life grow again. Ethan watched her and felt proud. Asterisk, sometimes they talked about the past. Layara shared more about her family, her old palace, and her people's hopes. She also spoke about her fear. What if people found her again? Ethan promised her they would be ready. He trained her how to use the small knife and how to listen for danger. Asterisk at night, they sat by the fire. They shared simple food and warm drinks. They talked about the future. Layara said maybe one day she would tell her story to others. Maybe her people's name would live again, but in a new way. Asterisk Ethan said he would stand with her when that day came. For now, he said, they could rest. They could live each day without fear. And Layara liked that. She liked that very much. Asterisk when. She slept at night. She dreamed of stars. But now she also dreamed of flowers, warm fires, and a friend who never left her side.